how does a group of newly freed slaves become a nation? Well, today we're jumping into that very story, the moment the Israelites received their foundational laws at Mount Sinai. This is a game changer in history. Let's get into it. You see, this is really all about identity. I mean, think about it. You have a people who have only ever known servitude, and now they're being given a whole new way to live, a brand new identity as a holy nation, all built on a divine constitution. Okay, so our story kicks off at the foot of Mount Sinai. This place is about to become legendary because it's right here that God makes this foundational offer, a proposal that's going to define the relationship between God and the nation of Israel forever. To give you some context, it's been about 3 months since that dramatic escape from Egypt. The Israelites have made their way through the wilderness, and now they set up camp right at the base of Mount Sinai. This isn't just some random pit stop. This is the destination. So Moses goes up the mountain, and this is the message he gets from God. Now, what's so fascinating here is the language. It's an invitation, a conditional offer. It's not a command. It's an if-then statement. If you listen, if you obey, then you'll become something totally unique, a treasured possession. So we really have to understand this word covenant. This isn't just a casual promise. It's a formal, serious, binding agreement. And look at what's on the table. God promises to make them a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Now, holy just meant to be set apart, not just for their own good, but to be a model nation that would show the rest of the world what God's justice and character looked like. All right, so the offer has been made. What happens next? Well, this is where things get intense. This is the encounter, and it's described as one of the most dramatic, awe-inspiring moments you can imagine. It's all designed to show the divine authority behind the laws that are about to be given. I mean, just try to picture this. The people prepare for 3 days, and then, on that third morning, boom, the mountain practically explodes. You've got thunder cracking, lightning flashing everywhere. The whole mountain is covered in this thick smoke, and cutting through all of it is the sound of a trumpet that just gets louder and louder. This was the majesty of God made real. And the people, they were absolutely terrified. And this is such a powerful visual, right? A physical boundary was set up around the mountain, and nobody could cross it or they would die. This was a symbol of that fundamental separation between a holy God and humanity. The only one allowed to enter that sacred space was Moses, who was acting as the go-between. And that brings us to the very heart of this covenant, the laws that would become the constitution for this new society, the 10 Commandments. You know, what's so brilliant about these 10 laws is their structure. They're basically built on 2 main relationships, your vertical relationship with God and your horizontal relationship with other people. Let's break that down. So the first 4 commandments lay the groundwork for worship. They call for exclusive loyalty to the one God, they forbid making idols, they demand respect for God's name, and they set aside the Sabbath as a holy day of rest, which was a pretty radical idea that applied to everybody, even servants. Then you get the next 6, which are all about the ethical glue that holds a community together. They cover everything from honoring your family to rules against murder, adultery, theft, and lying. And that last one is so interesting, right? It deals with an internal thought, coveting, or desire. It gets to the root cause of so many of the other problems. Okay, so if the 10 Commandments are the big picture principles, the what, then all the text that follows is the how. It gets into the nitty-gritty, practical details of how you actually build the just and holy society that these principles are aiming for. First up, there are these laws about servitude. And, you know, it's so important we get this right. This was nothing like the slavery they just escaped in Egypt, where they were property for life with 0 rights. This system was totally different. It was more like debt bondage, basically a safety net to keep people from starving, and it had a time limit, 7 years, and you're free. The person was treated with dignity and had a way to get back on their feet. This brings us to probably one of the most famous and most misunderstood laws ever, an eye for an eye. So what does that really mean? Does it mean if someone takes your eye, you get to go and take theirs? Is it just a license for personal revenge? Well, no. In the ancient world, justice was often completely out of control. A powerful person could wipe out an entire village in retaliation for a small offense. Blood feuds could go on for generations. So in that context, an eye for an eye was revolutionary. It wasn't a green light for revenge, it was a stop sign. It established the idea of proportional justice. The punishment can't be worse than the crime. This was a radical way to protect the weak from the strong and to end those endless cycles of violence. And we see this principle applied in some really specific and honestly fascinating ways. Cursing your parents, for example, could carry the death penalty because it was seen as a kind of verbal violence that attacked the whole social structure. The law also makes a clear distinction between murder and accidental killing, which is foundational to our legal systems today. And it even held people responsible for their property, like a dangerous ox, a core idea of personal responsibility. So you take all of this together, this incredible legal and moral code that was delivered thousands of years ago in the desert. What's its legacy? What's the lasting impact? Well, the big takeaway is that the Ten Commandments weren't just a temporary rule book. They were meant to be an eternal standard, a moral bedrock for all time. This was the blueprint for how to become that holy nation, a society built on justice, compassion, and reverence, designed to be a light to the world. And there's this incredible promise attached to all of this. The text says that God will show love to 1,000 generations of those who follow these commandments. That really highlights the long-term, generational blessing that was believed to come from living by this divine standard. So I'll leave you with this thought. From the idea of proportional justice to the basic rules against murder and theft, how do these ancient laws, given to a brand new nation at the foot of a mountain, still echo in our own legal systems and shape our sense of right and wrong today?